Time is 17:30 or 5:30. Today is Monday, March 20th, 2023. Call the meeting to order. First thing on our agenda is to conduct a public hearing to consider a request to rezone property located at 1806 Highway 35 North, also known as Villa del Palmas, Units A, B, C, and D, City of Rockport, Aransas County, Texas, to R6 Hotel Motel District to allow the use of short-term rentals, currently zoned R5, which is second multifamily dwelling district. So at this time, I'm going to open the public hearing, and it is 5:31-ish.
So Mr. Blum wasn't able to make it. So I'm going to just explain what it is he's trying to do. He wants to rezone the Villa del Palmas apartments, which are long-term, to, what was it, R something? Sorry.
R6.
R6, so that he can do short-term rentals, like,
VBRO or Airbnb.
yeah, Airbnb, VRBO, that sort of thing. That's what he's wanting to do.
Okay. I believe we have I have one written, but this is from you, Linda. Did you want to stand up and speak, or did you just come on up if you'll give your name and address? Yep. And you have 3 minutes.
I'll talk fast. I'm Linda Collins. I'm 1701 Percival, which is the corner of Percival and Glass Street. The adjoining 1 acre of land there belongs to me, which abuts into the subject property we're talking about. I've been there since '90. I'm concerned about traffic, parking, and before the hurricane, the apartments there had ingress and egress from 35. The back part was closed off with a privacy fence. Is that going to reopen? I'm concerned traffic coming and going up and down Percival. The other thing that I'm really concerned with is on the, that would be the south side. Half of that property there is mine, and half of it belongs to the 5 Quick Lube place, whatever that's called. I want to know if they're going to be fencing that in. But my main concern is the traffic, where they're going in and out, whether it goes from 35 to Percival, or if Percival is going to be closed off, which is what I'm hoping for. And concerned with people coming in with, everybody comes to Rockport with their boats and they want to go fishing. Where are they going to put all these boats and such? There's not a lot of room back there. Are they going to have a designated area for camper? Even travel trailers could be coming in, and boats and such. They're not going to be parking on the street, are they? That's another concern. Percival is not that big of a street. So those are my concern: traffic, fencing, and parking. Is that all?
That's all you have.
Thank you.
Are you able to, well, you can't do anything right now. Yeah. I realized as it was coming out of my mouth. Did you wish to speak?
I do wish to speak.
Great.
Without questions, though I have some.
If you'll give your name and address.
Yes, I've got it all written down.
Great.
Hello, my name is Mary Christine Ritter. I am a homeowner residing at 1901 Cochran Lane, across from the Villa del Palmas property. I am here today to protest changing the zoning of that property from R2 to R6. At present, the owner of that property has graded a sloping downward driveway towards my home, to create a street entrance on Percival. And I have heard through the grapevine he supposedly talked to this owner, who is not the owner who is listed in Aransas CAD, that was going to be the only entrance, that they were planning on closing off the entrances to Business 35. So I'm told there will be no entrances on Business 35. My first concern is for the amount of runoff in the event of a major rain event that could erode my property, undermining the foundation of my home. My second concern is there may not be enough parking on site for tourist rentals. You've got 16 units there, and if each unit is advertised with, I'm going to use a moderate number, 8 people, well, you're not necessarily going to get families all the time. You're going to get people like girls groups or guys groups going fishing who are going to come, and they're all going to want their own vehicle. And I know that this doesn't sound reasonable to some of y'all, but it happened in Port Aransas when I was living there. A good friend of mine, they would have so much parking during tourist season around his property that he couldn't get his airboats out to do what he needed to do to make a living. This is a real problem, and it's something that I think the city maybe struggled to deal with recently in enacting some sort of limit to the number of vehicles at a short-term rental. I don't know what that number is, but it's still, you know, the vehicles have got to go somewhere, and if there's only 2 spaces per rental unit, then all those other cars go out on the street, and my driveway gets blocked. Even my car pad gets blocked. It can be a real problem, and it's not just for me. It goes beyond the 200 feet of people who you are supposedly notified, which I will say I know of.
Wishes to speak on the subject. So it is 17:38, and we're going to close the public hearing. We're going to go back to our regular agenda. We're going to start with deliberate and act on the approval of the regular meeting minutes of March 6, 2023. Did anybody see any problems, questions, or concerns?
No, I'll move to accept.
We got a motion to accept. Do we have a second? We have a second. All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion for the minutes is passed. All right, now we're back to Villa del Palmas. This is agenda item 4, deliberate and act on a request to rezone property located at 1806 Highway 35 North, also known as Villa del Palmas, Units A, B, C, and D, City of Rockport, Aransas County, Texas, to R6 Hotel Motel District to allow the use of short-term rentals currently zoned R5, second multifamily dwelling district. Did you wish to?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
All of these things are things we've spoken with Mr. Blom, am I saying his name right, Blom, about. The entrances on Percival came about after Harvey. They started using that as construction entrances, and I've had a conversation with Mr. Blom that can't be. He still has to submit his engineered drainage plan and the modifications that he wants to make to that infrastructure. And I don't have those yet, but the plan is to take the berm down and make that whole back piece there a parking to go in, like for boats. Each of the units will have their parking here, but then there are extra boats and utilities there. But if he does that, then that means one of those has to be an entrance. You see what I'm saying? For them to get to them. But I haven't gotten his plan yet to talk about it with him. He will have to provide an engineered drainage plan to ensure that nobody gets additional water on their property that they're not currently getting. He'll have to do something if we do allow him to have one of those as an entrance for them to get to their boats and things. He'll have to deal with that drainage out there as well. It'll all has to be engineered. But again, I don't have anything to go by just yet. Now, the parking spaces, per code, there should be one parking space for each bedroom. If it's a 2-bedroom unit, they should have 2 parking spaces. If it's a 3-bedroom unit, they should have 3 parking spaces. But the parking lot in the back is what he is intending for overflow and the other things, the boats, the trailers, things like that. The center will go away. He wants to put a pool in there, and so that will no longer be a drive-in and come back out. So the only 2 entrances will be on the back side of these units, which, okay, as long as he can get all of his parking in there and then get in and out. But the
So they
whole thing
would-
is still kind of in design.
Right. They would be parking like the people used to park
Right, underneath the little.
under the carport
Yeah.
things. Okay.
Yes. And as I recall, there was plenty of room to get down there and get into your parking space.
Yeah, yeah.
And back up and go back out. So I don't see that being a problem. Again, as long as he has enough for the units, depending on what size they are, how many bedrooms. And I honestly don't recall what they are. It's been
I
100
have no
years
idea.
ago since the
Yeah.
last time. I think I was in high school the last time a friend of mine lived there. But yeah, all that's still up for the design to be presented. But he will have to meet code on all of it.
Can I speak again?
Sure.
Come on, yeah.
First, is the 2 parking spots, is that for a residence or is that for a short-term rental? Because that seems.
Either way, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, okay. Even if he meets the code on that, it's going to cause a problem in the neighborhood, and it's going to increase traffic through our neighborhood that doesn't have the best roads, doesn't have the worst roads, but it's an old neighborhood. And I know that it's not the best roads because I have balance issues. And so I feel all the idiosyncrasies on the edge of the road as I walk my dogs. It's also the neighborhood is very, there are a lot of people who walk and ride bikes. There are people who walk their dogs. There are people who just walk to walk. And I will tell you that most of them I don't know, but I see them going right by my house because I sit on the corner of Percival and Cochran. So the increased traffic is also going to be something that's going to cost Rockport more money in terms of trying to maintain those roads. And I know that everything is about meeting the code, but I'm going to beg y'all to not approve the zoning change until they've done these studies. I don't know if you can do that or not, but please hold back on approving the rezoning until they've done these studies and we can see what their engineers are projecting. If they take out that whole center and put in a pool area, they're taking away half of their parking right there. Maybe it's better if they don't have a pool area. If they, on the side where my house is, they have the parallel, no, not parallel, the face-in parking towards the units, 2 per unit. And then there's still room on the outside for pull-ins, like a boat trailer. I don't know that they need to do anything along the back for that. So I guess that's all I have to say right now. There might be more.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, my thought is that he could have, if he makes that a parking lot on his property in the back, he could fence that so that it's not seen or bothered by the residential, and the entrance would be coming from 35 when they come in. And it's up to him to make that wide enough that it meets fire lane regulations. But again, I haven't had the opportunity to discuss all that with him because I don't have his layout
Plan.
yet. So, I mean, I have ideas to prevent that, but we'll see.
I have a question. Is it,
If the zoning change is approved, is it going to be all short-term rental all the time, or would he still allow, I mean, if someone wanted to rent long-term, is that still something he's going
I
to?
believe he still could,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, I know under the code he can, under the zoning ordinance he can, but I'm
Right.
just wondering if that's his plan, or if he's to keep it, if his plan is to keep them all short-term rental all the time.
He hasn't indicated to us a number of apartments that he's gonna rent long-term and the ones that he's gonna use for short-term rentals. But he is gonna do a combination.
But he can't with an R5 zoning.
Right.
Right, he can only do long-term.
No matter how the property ends up getting zoned, the parking issues remain the same and the traffic issues remain the same. And the landowner has the right to develop the property the way that he wants to, as long as it meets the codes and everything else. So whether you approve the zoning change or not, he still has to meet all the codes and ordinances for the parking around the property if it's all long-term rentals. The issues are the same no matter how it's zoned.
That's true. He's still going to do his project.
And he has to come in, like Kerry was talking about, he has to come in with an engineered design parking plan. And we've indicated to him that the entrances that he's using now are what we call construction entrances. The only two approved entrances are off of Business 35. If he wants additional entrances or exits, he has to come in with an engineered design plan that meets all of our codes and ordinances, especially the drainage part of it, to ensure that he doesn't have an adverse effect on the neighbors.
So for clarification, if we approve this rezoning tonight, then all these other things must be done, or this is void, or?
No, he's
No.
still going to do those things.
The zoning doesn't matter. He still can have the zoning approved, but his project cannot be approved no matter what unless he meets all of our codes and ordinances. All we're asking y'all to do tonight is consider whether or not you want to allow the short-term rentals on that property along with the long-term rentals on that property. The rest of it still remains the same, and he still has to meet all the required codes and ordinances. We don't care whether he's renting long-term or short-term. He has to come in with those engineered design plans and be approved by the city before he can get a certificate of occupancy for that property.
so really what this,
What it boils down to on the zoning then, from what I'm hearing from the residents, is the traffic and the parking and the increase in the incidents in and out of, say, boats or RVs, whereas if it's a long-term rental, those may get pulled in and stay for a long time, but if it's a short-term rental, they're gonna be coming and going all the time, and that's what I'm hearing is the biggest concern, is the increased traffic if we go to short-term.
Mhm.
If,
Right now, it is long-term.
yeah,
It currently is zoned for long-term.
Oh, I see,
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
I just don't know with everything still being in flux, like he's gotta come back and he's gotta give us this, and he's gotta come back and give us this. If I personally feel comfortable voting, cause normally when we come here, they've got it all, we've got all these maps and how it's gonna look, and it's, you know, the drainage and the retentions, and everything's all done, and this one's kinda like, well, he's gonna come back and do that, so I don't really feel
Well,
comfortable.
because this is an existing property. The buildings are already there, the drives are already there. And it's the additions that he has to come back with. And now he's got to decide if he's gonna do that parking lot or if he's going to, and I think same thing if he don't approve. It's the same
He
thing.
still has to come back, he's gotta get a permit, put a pool in, and do all those things, and that has to be approved through the process and everything else.
Right. And I failed to mention that he does intend to have some long-term and some short-term. He's not intending for them all to be short-term. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that.
But that doesn't guarantee you'll give up.
No.
I mean, there are a lot of unanswered questions. You know, he's on 35. We certainly have other hotel motels up and down the 35, not far away. And it certainly fits in the land use.
It does. It meets all the minimum requirements for the rezone.
Yeah. I'm sorry he's not here. It would have been nice to have a conversation with him. That's one of the things that kind of makes me hesitate. I don't know.
We can reschedule it to the next P&D meeting.
I'd like to have another meeting when he is available. 'Cause I have the same concerns I think you have.
Well, let me tell you, the public hearing for council is supposed to be the 28th, but they've canceled that because they're gonna be gone somewhere.
Okay,
So they're moving it to April 11th. So you do have the opportunity to table it and
okay.
ask him to come at the next meeting.
I
Now, you've
like
had
that.
your public hearing.
Right.
So we could have him come, let me find it, hold it.
Who's our Robert's Rules of Order? Are we tabling or postponing? I believe we're postponing.
I believe you're postponing,
Be-
yes.
Postponing. And that would be, Madam Chair, that you have the option to postpone a vote on this item
Until April 3rd.
until another meeting can be held where we ask the owner to come in and be available to answer the questions that
And I mean, he still may not be making it, but at least he's got another opportunity to show up.
Well, and if he can't make it, I can give him all of these concerns and
And he can answer.
answer that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would y'all like my suggestions of what I could live with?
I don't think we can address that tonight.
Will we be allowed to speak at the next?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
that's
And you
April
can,
3rd.
yeah,
So we need a motion to postpone to April 3rd.
Yes.
bingo.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
Kim made that motion.
We have a motion and a
Looks like Patty seconded.
second. Any other discussion? All in favor of postponement, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay? So moved. Back to our agenda. I think we need a motion to adjourn.
I'll move that we adjourn.
Yay, we have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
I guess I'll second.
All right.
so few of
All in
us.
favor, say aye. Go away.
That works. Thank you.
Thank you.